So you could notice the shape of the muslin is changed. It's convex at the breast. The muslin no more 2 dimension. It becomes 3 dimension, so that it could fit the body of human. So we could know it's the function of the dot, because we established the dot at the shoulder and the waist. So the 2-dimension muslin transferred to the 3-dimension shape. Okay, now I release the dot. Now we throw in the lines. So first, let's connect, throw in the side seam. We connect the intersection of side seam and the waist, and the intersection bottom armhole of side seam. Connect them. Then we throw in the neckline. Normally at the beginning, the first part, neckline is level. Then use French curve to throw in along the dot marked. Then we need to draw the shoulder dot. We connect the point close to the neckline and the apex. Above 1 inch above apex, mark it as dot point. Connect dot another point. Okay, we have the dot. Before we draw the shoulder line, I will pin the dot together first. Crease dot the leg close to the center front, crease it. And then fold it on another leg. Match another leg of the dot. Pin the dot together. We pin from the fold line and pin the 4 layers fabric together. After we pin the shoulder dot together, we draw the shoulder line. Connect the intersection of neckline and the shoulder line, the intersection, shoulder line, and armhole ridge. Then we draw the armhole. The same way, the first part, the intersection of armhole is perpendicular to the shoulder line. And then use French curve. So you can notice that the armhole connects the intersection of bottom of armhole and the side seam, and the screw unplate screw level and the shoulder point. And then we need to connect the dot at the waist. Before we draw the dot at the waist, we'd better to check whether there is 1/4 for ease at the waist, and whether the apex line in the middle of the dot. So we could measure the length of the waist front, and plus 1/4 for ease, and check whether it's correct, it's right. Okay, so we can notice that there is no ease at the waist now, so we should smaller the dart. Then lower 1 inch from the apex around the apex lengthwise. Mark it as the dart point. Connect the dart point to the point at the waist. Connect another dart leg. Okay, then we also need to fold the dart. The same way, we crease the dart leg close to the center front. Fold on the match another leg of the dart and pin them together. Okay, so it's ready. And then I give the seamless for neckline, shoulder line, and armhole. It's not finished bodice, so we give 1/2 inch for seamless at the neckline, 1 inch for seamless at the shoulder line, give roughly 1.5 inch for seamless at the armhole, and leave the side seam and the bottom of the lower edge of the muslin. Okay, we give 1/2 inch for neckline, give 1 inch for seamless at the shoulder, and give roughly 1.5 inch at the armhole. Clip the excess fabric. And we pin the bodice to the form again. The same way, first pin the apex of the form. And pin the neckline at the center front. Pin the side seam at the side seam. Pin the side seam at the bust level line. Pin the bottom of armhole. Pin the side seam at the waist. And pin the center front at the waist. And pin the intersection of neckline and shoulder line. Pin the shoulder point. Okay, double check. Okay, so we can notice the bodice, the grain as smooth, and the whole bodice very tiny, clean and tidy. So we could continue for the back.